Namaste. Today we're going to understand Patanjali's Yoga Sutra 1.7, which explains to us the different categories of Praman Vritti, or the correct knowledge, and how we can refer to the sources of this correct knowledge. So let's look at the sutra itself first. The sutra goes, Pratyakshanumana Gamaf Pramanani, which when broken up refers to Pratyaksha, which means anything that is observed directly by the senses and therefore results in the correct knowledge. Particularly when we talk about Pratyaksha, we're referring to anything that is seen or visualized and comprehended by the eyes directly in front of us. The next one is called Anuman, and Anuman refers to inference or an estimation that you're making based on any other facts that you already have with you. A very common example for this type is when you see smoke on a hill, and by seeing that smoke you can infer that probably something is burning there, or that smoke is arising from a fire that might have happened there. So this is one of the ways of inferring something based on factual information that we've seen, and therefore we can come to a conclusion about what it might be referring to. And the third type is known as Agamaha. And this is when we're talking about a testimony, a very reliable testimony that we get. And the most reliable, according to yogic philosophy, is the testimony and the understanding of the seers, who were in deep meditative states and were able to understand certain truths and communicate those with us. So to sum it up, when we say Pratyaksha, we're referring to direct perception by the senses. Anuman refers to inference, and Agamaha refers to something that is a reliable testimony. Now let's understand this even deeper. When we look at the topics of Pratyaksha and Anumana, these are very, very common even in today's day and age. We have scientific methodology which follows a similar system that makes sure everything is factually correct, and only then is it accepted as a fact and passed on as data-backed information. But however, when we look at the third practice of Agamaha, we realize that this is something that may not be as common today as it probably was in Patanjali's time or when this was written. So at the time, because we lived in more ancestral ways and we really relied on what the elders of the family were saying, we took testimony also as something that was a valid source of correct information. So if an ancestor or somebody that was older than you or somebody that was respected in the family, or even a yogic seer or a spiritual teacher, if they had any experiences that were particularly yogic or meditative, and they shared those experiences with us, we would have taken them also to mean correct knowledge, because we put those people on a pedestal and we referred to them as our gurus. We believed in what they were telling us from their own experiences. And the closest that we can call this today would probably be anecdotal evidence or testimony-based evidence. I think the difference or the change that has happened is we don't trust anecdotal evidence as much as we trust numbers and quantitative data. So that's probably the greatest difference that has happened with the scientific revolution. But according to yogic philosophy, Agamaha is also taken or considered as a correct source of knowledge. And when you practice yogic teachings and you do it in a traditional way, you realize that learning from a guru directly and taking the lessons from a guru's life or their experiences ends up becoming your correct knowledge as well, because you trust the guru completely and you're willing to take their lessons as your own and apply them as correct knowledge. So this is what Patanjali is telling us about when he talks about Pratyaksha, Anuman and Agamaha. And these are the ways in which we can say, all right, this information that is being presented to me is most likely correct and I can use it for whatever purposes that I might need to. And why is Patanjali telling us this? Because once we know what are the categories of correct knowledge, we can deeply understand the types of thought waves that emerge in our mind. And by understanding the types of thought waves, we will know how to harness or control them better. So it's a deep study into the mind, into the kinds of thought waves, and within that, even the subcategories of thought waves that will make us more adept at understanding who we are so that we can move forward and become better versions of ourselves. So that brings us to the end of the understanding of Sutra 1.7. I hope this has helped you to understand it even further. And if you would like a more detailed explanation of the Patanjali Yoga Sutras, we will be launching a yoga philosophy course very soon. The information will be in the description and you can come join us to learn all of yoga philosophy in much greater detail. We look forward to seeing you in the next video. Until then, take care and we're going to see you very soon. Namaste.